Ladies and gentlemen, out in our audience tonight, there's a very famous moving picture star, Burt Lancaster. And we're delighted he's here tonight because down through the years, and we're now starting our 15th year on TV, Burt Lancaster has been an exceptional friend to our show. Remember one night filming something with Gina Lola Brigida and Burt and Tony Curtis over in Paris, and he let me win Gina Lola Brigida, and certainly no man hath greater love than that. Let's have him up on the stage. Burt Lancaster, come on up here. How are you, Burt? Here's the ball now. That's a wonderful tribute to you, Burt, because I think everybody in the country understands and recognizes the tremendous things you've done for moving pictures as well as for our shows. And this picture you've just made now, Birdman of Alcatraz, did not come out of your own conviction? You tell them about it.
Well, all actors, I think, certainly speaking for myself, are, let us say, primarily egotists. That means we're interested in a good part. And when I read the screenplay of The Birdman of Alcatraz, I knew it was a wonderful role and an opportunity to do some fine acting, or to attempt to do some fine acting. But it was also a story that was tremendously moving. And I'd like to tell you just a little bit about it. The Birdman of Alcatraz. It's a story about a man called Robert Stroud. Robert Stroud is a real man. He's living today here in America in a federal penitentiary. He's been in prison 53 years. Think of it. He spent 43 of those years in solitary confinement, alone, with seeing no one other than occasional visits from his family, his mother and his brother. And the only other people he was ever permitted to see was the actual guards whom he came in contact with in the normal process of his being fed or whatever, things of that kind. He had to exercise alone in the yard. Now this would be enough to depress and crush, I think, almost any human being, because human beings are not meant to live under these kind of circumstances. Now let me tell you a couple of more things about Robert Stroud. Robert Stroud killed two men. He was a tough, hard, bitter, recalcitrant man when he was a young man. Make no mistake about that. We're not trying to paint a picture of any kind of a saint. But let me go a little further. When he was in solitary confinement about 6 years or so, one day in the exercise yard, he found a little bird with a broken wing. He picked this bird up and brought it into his cell. Through the months, he nursed the bird. He taught it to fly. The bird became a kind of a friend of his. Then one day, he found another bird, and he mated the two birds. And after a while, he had something like 300 cages of birds. Now this man, the birds began to get sick and die, and Stroud, in despair, with no help of any kind, searched the prison library, and he began to find out what makes the birds sick, and he brought them back to life. Through the birds, this man, this bitter man, this hard, tough, bitter man, began to find the meaning of love. He began to get outside of himself and know what it means to give something to something else. And Robert Stroud then sat down and wrote, through the years, the most definitive book, and I checked this with doctors, the most definitive book ever written, scientific book of bird diseases. And he emerged eventually as a man who truly rehabilitated himself and found a real purpose in life. And that's why I think today that it's a shame that this man isn't given more consideration. Now, he's not an easy man to get along with. He's a cankerous old fellow. He's a rugged individualist. And that might have something to do with why it's not easy for him to get out of jail. But nevertheless, he is an honest man, a man of real integrity, and a man who has done something in a way that any human being could be proud of, certainly under those circumstances.